Welcome to Top 30. I'm Kristen Smith.
And I'm Richard Bacon, and here are your top 30 stories in 30 minutes. Last year, Americans spent over $485 billion on rent. According to the real estate website Zillow, that number is up nearly $5 billion from the year before. The median rental in America costs about 29% of median monthly income. Financial experts say not to spend more than 30% of monthly income on housing, which for many is impossible in cities like San Diego or New York, where the average rent is well over $2,000. That makes it difficult for renters to meet other obligations. It also makes it more difficult for them to stop renting and become homeowners. Experts say that might not be a bad thing. One analytics firm found that 64% of Americans live in markets where renting takes up less of their income than it would take to buy a house. And that's partly because home prices are rising. And in 2018, so are interest rates. So it is a good time to rent, and it's a good time to be a landlord.
The 49th annual NAACP Image Awards were held Monday night, making it the first time the event was held on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Director Ava DuVernay invoked Dr. King as she accepted her award for Entertainer of the Year.
We can say we were here when all this gorgeous art was happening, and that we supported it, that we lifted each other up, that we did as Dr. King said he would do. Live the dream, we're the dream.
Danny Glover was presented with the prestigious NAACP President's Award, which recognized his professional and philanthropic contributions to the Black community.
Civil rights and labor rights have always been one and the same.
Other award winners included the ABC sitcom Blackish, which swept the television comedy categories, while Power won Outstanding Drama. And the breakout comedy Girls Trip took home the trophy for Outstanding Motion Picture. Overall, it was a great night recognizing great work. 13 siblings, ages 2 to 29, were found shackled and malnourished in their Paris, California home, reportedly held captive by their parents. 57-year-old David Allen Turpin and 49-year-old Louise Anna Turpin were arrested on torture and child endangerment charges and are being held on $9 million bail. And the Cranberries' lead singer Dolores O'Riordan passed away at the age of 46 on Monday while in London.
Do you have to? Do you have to? Do you have to let it linger?
Her cause of death has not been released, except to say it was sudden. But there's new life for Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, who welcomed their third child, a beautiful baby girl, via surrogate on Monday morning. She weighed 7 pounds, 6 ounces, and Kim said on her app, North and Saint are especially thrilled to welcome their baby sister. Now watch as this heroic firefighter catches a toddler being thrown from a third-story balcony. The child is safe, and a major shout out to those Georgia firefighters who saved 4 adults and 8 children from that fire.
Let's go to the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute with your friend and mine, Nicole Pedlides. Nicole, I am hearing that Dunkin' Donuts is making a major change.
That's right, Richard. Dunkin' Donuts is looking to keep things simple. First, it slashed 10% of items from its menu, and now it's dropping the donuts from its name at several locations across Massachusetts as it continues its push for a broader rebranding. When there is an emergency, police and firefighters will have the best tools of communications they were promised years ago after 9/11. AT&T will build a communications network and will receive $6.5 billion in government funds and valuable airwaves. In times of crisis, safety officials will get priority use of the airwaves. And the TSA PreCheck program, which was supposed to save travelers time and stress through airport security, is in trouble. That's because TSA PreCheck lines might be longer in 2019, due in part to a surge in applications and not enough resources to process them.
Nicole, how exactly do people get approved for this?
74% of applicants are approved automatically. 26% are done manually. To make the process faster, the TSA will be reviewing its processes and adding additional staff to enable a speedier review. More Top 30 when we return.
Stress does not directly cause your hair to turn grey, but it can cause hair loss. According to Harvard Medical School, being under stress can trigger your hair to fall out at a rate 3 times faster than usual. But here's the thing, the hair grows back. However, by age 35, hair being regenerated is more likely to grow back grey than your original hair colour. Thus the theory that stress causes grey hair. So while grey hair is actually influenced by genetics, take note of when your parents went grey, and it should give you an idea of what you're in for. Harvard says stress simply plays a role, but scientifically doesn't cause the colour change. The bottom line is this: less stress, less hair loss, less chance you will turn grey early. Kristen, here you have a story about a new trend in parenting.
Yeah, that's right, Richard. A new trend where parents give their kids something called a yes day is becoming very popular. And yes, it's exactly what you think it is. A day where you say yes to everything your kids want to do, within reason, of course. The concept originally appeared in a 2009 book with the same name. But more recently, actress Jennifer Garner Instagrammed about giving her 3 kids a yes day, and the idea has taken off. Experts suggest giving an annual yes day to your kids in place of a materialistic birthday present. After setting a date and some guidelines, it gives them something to plan and look forward to. Clinical neuropsychologist Bill Stixrud says giving kids the freedom to take complete control of their lives for a day is a healthy way for them to work on decision-making skills and figure out interests and experiences that they truly enjoy. So maybe think about saying yes to a yes day. You could be pleasantly surprised by what you learn about your child.
Millions more Americans went without health insurance in 2017. The amount of Americans who don't have health insurance increased by 1.3% last year, which equates to more than 3 million people. This, according to a new report from Gallup. In the wake of the Great Recession, the uninsured rate peaked at about 18% in early 2013. The following year, the individual mandate of the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, kicked in, requiring Americans to have health coverage. Between 2013 and 2017, more than 20 million people gained health coverage. Gallup says the recent increase in the uninsured rate is due to rising premiums, insurance companies leaving markets, and the effects of President Trump and congressional Republicans to undo the Obama healthcare law. News stories about efforts to repeal and replace the law made many Americans think they wouldn't have to pay a penalty if they lost coverage. But last month, the Republican tax bill passed effectively killed the individual mandate by lowering the penalty for not buying insurance to 0. Gallup says that will lead to even more Americans without health insurance in the years ahead.
Before you indulge in a tasty ice cream treat from your freezer, you might want to check and make sure they're not a part of a nationwide ice cream recall. Boxes of Fieldbrook Foods orange cream bars, raspberry cream bars, and chocolate-covered vanilla ice cream bars, as well as variety packs, were possibly contaminated. Fieldbrook Foods released a statement that says there is no evidence of any contamination prior to October 31st, 2017. But the company has issued the recall back to January 1st, 2017. The items were produced at Fieldbrook Foods' Dunkirk, New York plant on the Hoyer 1 line and could be found at chains like Kroger, Jewel, and Aldi. According to the company, routine testing detected Listeria monocytogenes, which can cause fatal infections in young children, the elderly, and those with weakened immune systems. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration says symptoms of Listeria include high fever, severe headaches, stiffness, nausea, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. For more information on how this affects you, check out our Facebook page.
You probably know about Instagram, but Dronestagram is a similar community that features the best and brightest images captured by drone photography. And Dronestagram has released the winners from their top photos of 2017 contest, and they are stunning. The first place winner in the nature category is a breathtaking aerial photo of the lavender fields in Provence, France, getting a trim aptly titled Provence Summer Trim by user @JCourtiel. In the people category, the winner was @ZekeDrone, with an overhead shot of a tennis court he calls End of the Line. And in the urban category, Dronestagram user @Backham dominates with a shot of Dubai's high-rises that he calls Concrete Jungle. The earth from above always looks so much better. Officials in Hawaii are getting death threats after a botched missile alert triggered widespread panic across the island. The fallout comes after what was supposed to be a test of the state's emergency alert system on Saturday morning. An employee launched a program with a drop-down box that said test missile alert and missile alert, and he was obviously supposed to choose the test but hit the wrong one. That led to this text being sent to people across the island. Ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. Soon after, chaotic scenes like this unfolded, with people panicking, running to find shelter, and the highway was packed with people trying to drive to safety. Officials realized it was a false alarm after just 3 minutes, but it took 38 minutes to get word out to the public. The employee who triggered the alert has been reassigned. The FCC, the state, and the Hawaii Emergency Agency have all launched investigations. Issuing a death threat after having effectively received a death threat doesn't seem like the most thought-out reaction.
In today's Hometown Stories from Fox 13 Tampa Bay, the Warrior Games is an adaptive Olympic-style competition for wounded service members and veterans. And the Warrior Games are coming to Tampa in 2019, thanks to the efforts of retired Sergeant Mike Nicholson and City Councilman Luis Vieira.
It was Mike's determination, and it was his example that got us past the finish line in Tampa.
Nicholson, who has won numerous medals in adaptive sports competitions, couldn't be happier.
To be able to showcase their abilities in front of the city I grew up in and the city that's supported me throughout so much of my life.
Our next story from Fox 46 Charlotte. A family is overwhelmed by the generosity of their community after a fire destroyed everything they held dear. Though the Swindell family was fortunate enough to not be home when the fire happened, they're now unable to return. But their neighbors have stepped up to help, collecting donations and starting a GoFundMe page to help the family rebuild.
I just want to thank everybody and thank the community, and please keep us and our family in your prayers.
A beautiful example of a community acting as family. Our final story from Fox 2 Detroit. Sonia Brown, also known as Auntie Nay, opens her home to those in need. A loving act year-round, but especially during these winter months when homeless shelters are full.
I'll take you myself. We got this. We got this.
But it's more than that for those who have benefited from her kindness. Currently, Sonia has 4 homes to help those in need, but she's getting a 5th up and running. The Winter Olympics begin next month in South Korea. New research says the list of cities who will be able to host the Winter Olympics in the future is getting shorter thanks to climate change. Scientists at the University of Waterloo in Ontario, Canada, predict that by 2050, greenhouse gases could increase the planet's temperature by about 4 degrees Fahrenheit. That will make 9 of the cities that hosted past Winter Olympics too warm for sports like downhill skiing or snowboarding. The 3 warmest in Russia, Germany, and right here in the U.S. won't have enough snow, even if the hosts try to make their own. The research did factor in artificial snow because it only works if the air is cold enough. Climate change also affects the conditions for athletes. Experts say it will be harder to train at some locations where the ski season will be 50% shorter by 2050. There's still good news for athletes competing next month. Pyeongchang has been called the coldest place on Earth.
More employers are now switching their stance and want employees to help each other during times of crisis. The National Council for Behavioral Health is offering a class that is described as CPR for mental health. The 8-hour course is designed to give people the tools to help someone in need, even learning the right way to ask people tough questions like, are you having thoughts of suicide? The course is getting more popular. Over the last 2 years, about 1,300 people enrolled through their employer, and this year, 6,000 people are scheduled to take the class. A recent study by the American Psychological Association found that more than a quarter of workers reported some level of depression or anxiety. Since most employees don't like calling helplines set up by their company, these peer classes are even more valuable to employers.
Studies say pricey microdermabrasion treatments can leave skin looking brighter, smoother, and more radiant while diminishing the effects of sunlight pollution and aging. Which is why we've got today's top 30 deal: 2 Face Mist Scrubber Facial Infuser at a special 77% discount. The Mist Scrubber with built-in mist dispenser is the only device on the market that combines microdermabrasion, ultrasonic, and mist in one device. Not only does the FDA-approved Mist Scrubber gently exfoliate skin, it also removes dirt and daily grime, even from clogged pores. The product's ultrasonic waves even out skin tone while brightening discoloration. The 2 Face Mist Scrubber Facial Infuser retails for as much as $295, but today you can buy it for just $69. That's about a 77% discount, and you can get this right now at top30deals.com while they last. Canada's Special Forces want to recruit more women for their highly trained military units to conduct covert operations. Major General Mike Rouleau says having more women in the unit would make them more effective. Rouleau said, "Our closest allies routinely deploy male and female alongside each other to do the softer intelligence-gathering sensor-type operations. This is the future, and it is a bit of James Bond. But if you want to defeat a terrorist cellular-based network, you need to be in front of that cell. And at the moment, we're not there." As it stands, about 14% of Canada's Special Forces personnel are women, and they're hoping to bump that up to at least 25%. While the American model gives recruits a chance to try out for the Special Forces right away, the Canadian model still draws straight from their existing qualified soldier list, a model they're thinking of modifying in the future.
A new health craze has sparked outrage, ridicule, and even death threats. Several companies are selling what they call raw water. It's advertised as being healthy because it's from natural springs and isn't treated. In theory, that makes it free from chemicals. Raw water, as it's called, is also expensive. A 2.5-gallon jug of live water sells for about $35. The high price and perceived pretension have turned a trend most popular in Silicon Valley into a national story, and much of the attention has been negative. The owners of Tourmaline Springs said, "We've received hundreds of messages which range from blatant insults to really harsh, hateful statements. There were 2 where they threatened to come and shoot us." An expert from the Centers for Disease Control says, if you're not filtering it, if you're not disinfecting it, then you are creating a risk for yourself or anybody you give the water to of diseases. In other words, some man-made chemicals are really quite useful. In the developing world, people fight for access to clean water. Here, fools pay through the nose for access to dirty water. Even as shopping increasingly moves out of stores and onto the internet, one old-school marketing technique is staying the same: the weekly mailer. Some retailers, like grocery store chains in particular, continue the practice of sending out weekly paper mailers because they found it spurs more business than emails or texts, which can be more easily ignored or deleted. In order to make mailers more personalized, some companies are hiring digital marketing firms to sift through online data to identify purchasing trends to highlight in paper ads, hoping more personalized mail will lure shoppers to stores. Junk mail is going nowhere.
In 2016, on Super Bowl Sunday, consultant Mandy Bass heard glass shatter while working in her office in her Florida home. According to People magazine, when Mandy got up to see what happened, she was attacked by Kevin Jackman, a local college student who was melting down on LSD. Somehow, Mandy was able to escape the brutal beating, but suffered serious injuries. After the assault, Mandy contacted a friend who knew Kevin, and they asked if she had the right person. Kevin's reputation as a good guy made Mandy curious about him, so she asked to meet her attacker. When they finally came face to face, Kevin started sobbing, so Mandy held him. Mandy says forgiveness heals when we are able to let go of anger and resentment. If you want to read more about Mandy's experience, check out her book, Taming the Tokolosh.
New high-resolution pictures from Mars reveal it has several big areas of ice right below the surface, some as deep as 300 feet. This is one of the pictures, and it shows the blue tint which is one of the icy areas called a scarp. Scientists say there are 8 different locations they've found so far, and the discovery is a big deal for a variety of reasons. The scarps could contain valuable information about Mars's climate. Scientists say they could get some of the ice and study air bubbles trapped within it to gather climate data. Scientists can also figure out if Mars changed its tilt based on where these scarps were found. And it could be huge for space travel as well, providing astronauts with a source of water which would be vital to exploration there. Kristen, what's coming up on the next show?
Richard, we're talking about a new kind of health threat. Humans aren't the only ones that have to worry about the flu. Cases of dog flu are on the rise. We'll tell you how to keep your canine friends safe. Plus, NASA calls this a nursery for baby stars. And one company figured out a way to help refugees in other countries from right here in the U.S. And it all starts in the kitchen. It's all coming up on the next Top 30.